Welcome to Business Studies, Class 12, Chapter 5, Organizing, Explanation, Part 4. And under this content, we will be discussing on the delegations, elements of delegations and importance of delegation. So first, let us see what does delegation means. Actually, delegations refers to the downward transfer of authority from a superior to subordinates. Like the actually under the business field, a manager, no matter how good he is, no matter how talented he is, no matter how capable he is, he cannot manage to do every task on his own. So it becomes impossible for him to handle it all by himself. So if he desires or if he wants to achieve the organizational goals, then he must delegate authority. That means he must divide the work and give authority to his subordinates for the smooth functioning of the organizations. Clear? Now let me read out the meaning of delegation. Delegation is the assignment of authority and responsibility to another person, normally from a manager to a subordinate, to carry out specific activities. It is one of the core concepts of management leadership. However, the person who delegated the work remains accountable for the outcome of the delegated work. Delegation empowers a subordinate to make decisions. Delegation, if properly done, is not abdications. The opposite of effective delegation is micromanagement, where a manager provides too much input, direction, and review of delegated work. Or in the simpler form, as I said earlier, it means the downward transfer of authority from a superior to a subordinate. Like for example, how we can take the example superior as a principal and we teachers as a subordinate. So how the work has been divided among the teachers. Clear? Now take a look at this example. A manager, how he has divided the work among the employees. So the another meaning of delegation is the assignment of authority and responsibility to another person to carry out specific activities. Core concepts of management leaderships: empowers a subordinate to make decisions. So the main purpose of delegation is organizations and companies are often involved in many activities such as sourcing, distributions, and customer services. If work and tasks are not organized, then it can affect the efficiency, productivity, development, employee satisfaction, and market share of the company. So delegation is needed to increase the efficiency, increase development, increase productivity, and increase the job satisfactions. So actually, how does the delegation process works? First, we need to choose the appropriate task and then choose the appropriate person and then set clear objectives and plans. Then after that we need to implement. After implementing, monitor is necessary. After monitoring, we need to evaluate or review the work done by them. Next is we will be discussing about the consequences of not or poor delegating. So if the delegation is not good, if the flow of work is not good, then there is more chances of poor productivity, worksheet resulting in further losses of efficiency, time shortage for doing the important things, no time for planning, business growth, skill enhancement, no new learning, no development, resulting in organizational stagnancy, manager leaders they become tired out. Okay, so that is why being a superior he must know how to delegate the work to his subordinates. Next is the elements of the delegations. So under this we will be discussing about the responsibility, authority and accountability. But first let me discuss about what does authority means. Authority actually refers to the right of an individual to command his subordinates, like how the principal commands the teachers. We are the subordinates. So the authority means who the individual who has the right to command and to command his subordinates and to take action within the scope of his or her positions. So actually the authority is the sum of powers and rights to use financial, materials and human resources, as well as to decide act or not to act. So this is what the superior does, like how superior gives the authority to the subordinates. Okay, so that so in the formal organizations, authority originates by virtue of an individual positions, and the extent of authority is uh, highest at the top management level and reduces successively as we go down the corporate ladder. So thus authority flows from superior to the subordinates, or we can also say from top to bottom. Okay, so that is like the superior has authority over the subordinates. So authority relationships helps to maintain order in the organizations by giving the managers the right to exact obedience and give directions to the workforce under them. Authority also determines the superior subordinates relationship, wherein the superior communicates his decisions to the subordinates, expecting compliance from him, and the subordinate executes the decisions as per the guidelines of the superior. So that was the meaning of authority, who has the right of an individual to command his subordinates. And the next is the we will be discussing about the responsibility. Responsibility is the obligations of a subordinate to properly perform the assigned duty. Once the responsibility has given to us by the superior, so we must assign the duty, or we must do the duty honestly. It arises from a superior subordinate relationship because the subordinate is bound to perform the duty assigned to him or her by his or her superior. So thus responsibility flows upwards. That is, subordinate will always be responsible to his superior. Like superior, after the work gets over, it's our responsibility. It's the responsibility of the subordinate to give the proper report to the higher authority or the superior. So this responsibilities flows from the like the responsibilities flows upward, means superior from the subordinates to the superior. An important consideration to be kept in view with respect to both authority and responsibility is that when an employee is given responsibility for a job, he must also be given the degree of authority necessary to carry it out. Thus, for effective delegations, the authority granted must be complemented with the assigned responsibility. If authority granted is more than the responsibility, it may lead to misuse of authority. And if responsibility assigned is more, if you are more responsible towards the work, then obviously the authority, it may make a person ineffective. And the next is accountability. Accountability means you should always be answerable. So accountability implies being answerable for the final outcome. You should be answerable to what you have done. Once authority has been delegated and responsibility accepted, one cannot deny accountability because he should always be answerable to what he has done. So it cannot be delegated and flow upward. That is, a subordinate will be accountable to a superior for satisfactory performance of work, because obviously after the work has been done, he must report it to the superior. So that is why he should always be accountable and always be answerable to what he has done. It indicates that the manager has to ensure the proper discharge of duties by his subordinates. It is generally enforced through regular feedbacks on the extent of work accomplished. The subordinate will be expected to explain the consequences of his actions or omissions. If he has done anything wrong, supposing, so obviously he has to be answerable to what he has done it. So in conclusion, it can be stated that while authority is delegated, responsibility is assumed. Accountability is imposed. Responsibility is derived from authority and accountability is derived from responsibility. Means directly, indirectly, they are related to each other. Simultaneously, they need to work together. If authority is given, then there has to be a responsibility. And if responsibility is given, then you should always be accountable. Means you should always be answerable to what you have done. Next is the delegation and its importance. So under this we will be discussing about the importance of delegations. Under this there are 6 points. First one is effective management, second employee development, third motivation of employees, 4 facilitations of growth, 5 basis of management hierarchy, and the last one is, that is a 6th point, is the better coordinations. Now let us go in detail. So the first importance of delegation is effective management, or you can also say reduces the workload of the managers. Delegation of authority, they permit or allow a manager to share his workload with his subordinates, means giving or assigning of work to his subordinates, because even though a manager, he is very talented and capable of everything, still he cannot function the entire work. So he should also divide the work or assign some of the work to his subordinates. So he needs to see a subordinate who is very reliable and who has the what do we call that, caliber to do the assigned work. Or you can also say, by passing on some of his work to the subordinates, the managers are able to function more efficiently as they get more time to concentrate on another important matters as well. So freedom of doing routine work provides them with opportunities to excel in new areas. Now, the second point is the employee development. Employee development means as a result of delegations, employees they get more of the opportunities. When a work has been assigned by the superior, the work turns out to be something new every day, turns out to be a challenging work for every subordinate. So it is like an opportunity to them as they get to face everything new, they learn something new every day. So it's a kind of a more opportunities, so that it helps to utilize their talent, and this may give rise to a hidden abilities or talents in them, and it allows them to develop more of those skills which will enable them to perform complex tasks and assume those responsibilities which will help in their career prospects. It makes them better leader and a decision maker as well. Thus delegations helps by preparing for the better future managers, and delegation empowers the employees by providing uh, them with the chance to use their skill, talents, and help them in gaining more of experience and developing themselves for the higher positions. Now let us come to the third point, that is motivations of employees, or you can also say motivating the subordinates. Delegations actually helps in developing the talents or the skills of the employees. It also has a psychological benefits. When a superior entrusts a subordinate with a task, it is not merely the sharing of the work, but also the involvement of trust on the superior's part and commitment on the part of the subordinates. Means when when the subordinate is given a task by his higher authority, means he has a means creating more of the trust bonding in them. So responsibility for work builds the self-esteem of an employee and helps in improving his confidence, and also he feels motivated, encouraged, and tries to improve his performance further. So we should always give a chance to the subordinates, because sometimes the subordinates might come up with a greater views than the superior. So if we give them the opportunity, if we give them the uh, uh, chance to speak up, to give them to give their opinion and views, obviously they get motivated. And like I always say, the it's not that superior are always right. Sometimes even the subordinates might come up with a greater decisions and a greater views. Another one is facilitations of growth. Delegation helps in the expansion of an organizations by providing a ready workforce to take up the leading positions in a new ventures. So in this, what we need is, if we want to grow a business, trained and experienced employees are able to play a very significant roles in the launch of a new projects by replicating the work ethos they have observed from existing units in the newly set up branches. So the employee should always get a proper training, and they should gain more of the experience as well. Another one is the fifth point. Basis of management hierarchy means delegations of authority establishes the superior subordinate relationships, which are the basis of hierarchy of management. It is the degree and flow of authority which determines who has to report to whom. The extent of delegated authority also decides the power that each job position enjoys in the organizations. Now let us come to the last point, that is sixth point, better coordinations. The element of delegations, namely authority, responsibility and accountability, helps to define the powers, duties and answerability related to the various positions in an organization. So this helps to avoid overlapping of duties and duplications of effort, and it gives a clear picture of the work being done at various levels. So such clarity in reporting relationship helps in developing and maintaining effective coordination amongst the departments, level and function of management. Thus, delegation is a key element in effective organizations. So if they ask you any questions to if they ask you any questions like what are the elements of delegations, so you need to tell the elements of delegations are authority, responsibility and accountability. So for better coordination, if there is a better coordination among the colleagues and the superior, automatically there is a effectiveness as well as efficiency in the smooth functioning of the business. So with this we have finished with the importance of delegations, and about the decentralizations we will be discussing in our next video.